then it's time, in my view, it's time to put that income to work. We want to make sure that we're building what I will call a moat around the castle that will ultimately be their personal wealth that they build up over time, to provide the peace of mind, to provide the financial security that many of us are looking for. So with those types of monthly income numbers, that's the fuel to make the plan happen. So where do we put that income towards building the emergency fund, the moat around the castle? Where do we use some of that income to start investing long-term, to utilize longer-term instruments of some kind that could help become more powerful of an asset over time versus, say, just savings in the bank, right? So I kind of see it as a pyramid. The very bottom level of the pyramid needs to be our liquid savings, our cash on hand, in our back pocket, in our pocketbooks. Helps us prevent going into credit card debt, helps us prevent from...
This is Joy Rowland, and you are listening to the Joyful Money Podcast. This is episode number 91, Lessons from a Financial Advisor with Rick Salmeron. Welcome to Joyful Money, the podcast where we focus on making money the joyful way. We are done with the stress and anxiety that typically come with making money. We'll feature extraordinary and inspiring business owners who are making a huge impact by sharing their gifts and talents with the world. Pour yourself a cup of coffee or tea and let's go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Joyful Money Podcast. I'm so excited because we have a very special guest today joining us. His name is Rick Salmeron. He is a reputable, highly valued financial advisor, and he's here to share his knowledge and wisdom with us. Welcome to the show, Rick.
Thank you, Joy. I feel joy being here.
Awesome. Yeah, we like hearing that here on Joyful Money. So, Rick, why don't you start by introducing yourself and telling us what you do?
I am an independent financial advisor in Dallas, Texas. I've been in this business for, 33 years now. 34 years. Oh my gosh. And in essence, money is a very critical part of our lives, right? Not everything. However, in my view, it ranks up there with oxygen. We can lead a tremendous, great life if we have strong money behind us. And I help individuals, successful people, business owners make wiser and smarter decisions with their money, make sure that their money is in the right places so that it's headed in the direction of their future, not anyone else's, so that it can grow in a manner that's very strong and healthy, so people can feel that peace of mind that they are doing the best that they can with what they have.
Oh, wow. I love that so much. I love that you say the money is going where they want the money to go, not where someone else wants the money to go. Because in my experience, when you go into banks, right, you have all of these financial advisors trying to sell you products, but ultimately they are thinking about what product can I sell this person that will give me the most commission, right? So I like that you've emphasized that. How? Yeah, go ahead, Rick.
Well, I agree. I mean, mind you, there are great financial advisors out there, and there are some that are not so great too. And one can say that about just about any industry, right? So
Yeah,
there's
that's
nothing
so true.
wrong with a person doing this on their own. There's certainly plenty people who do it on their own, and that's fine. At the same time, in my view, based on my experience, money for many of us, if not all of us, can be seen as a black box where we're living in this black box because we are making an income, we have a job, or we have a business, or we have money in the bank, or whatever the case might be. Yet as individuals, we're only able to see so much in this black box, right? It can be a very confusing, a lot of space of unknown that makes us feel scared and intimidated sometimes, that we're not quite sure that we're doing the right things. So if a person is considering working with a financial advisor, you want to make sure that they're talking with someone who's able to shine one or two or maybe even more additional spotlights inside that black box so that they can better see the future and therefore better make wiser and smarter decisions. So when you're talking about working with a financial advisor, many factors involved. However, it's really critical to feel comfortable and secure and safe with that person that you're dealing with, and make sure that those lights, those spotlights that they're shining in that hard to see area of money sometimes are those lights that you feel like are in your best interests. And
Yeah.
again, for your future.
Yeah. Money, in my experience, for many people, money is a very touchy subject, and many people tend to bury their heads in the sand. They feel like money happens outside of themselves. They feel like they don't have control. And so, can you tell us, how do you help people? I know you've just mentioned being in control of our money and making sure our money is being used in a way that will serve us best or better in the future. So tell us, how do you help your clients achieve this?
Well, it comes down to finding out where are they now? Where are they starting? What's their point A? And what do they want to see happen, their point B? What do they want their future to look like? Similar to planning a vacation or a trip, if you're wanting to go to Ottawa, Canada, if I'm in Dallas, Texas, and I want to head north to Canada, it would be a better idea if I had a map or a journey on how to get there, other than just, oh, let me open up the front door of my house and start traveling in some way without knowing what my steps are, right? The same type of analogy can be applied to one's financial goals and their financial future. You want to make sure that you know where you're going, because whether you realize it or not, you do have a plan in place. Question is, are you controlling it, or is somebody else controlling it, or some other forces, the government or what have you, control it? So when we're earning money, when we're making money, we want to know where the person is starting. Are they single? Do they have a family? Are there family dynamics that are part of this picture? How young is the person? How old is the person? What kind of risk tolerance did the person have if they want to, say, invest some of this money in a manner that would be fit with them? I hearken back to the Three Bears story of Goldilocks. She walked into the room and she had 3 bowls of porridge waiting for her, and she did not want the one that was too cold. She did not want the one that was too hot. She wanted the one that was just right. And everyone is starting with their point A, and many people have a similar point B in life. Like, I want to retire, I want to be financially independent, I want to fill in the blank, whatever that is for them. But so many people are starting from a point A that's similar to, I would say, Goldilocks. And you want to find out where you're starting in an area that's right for you, so that you can begin to embark on a journey, on a path of taking steps, implementing strategies, and taking tactics towards making your money help fulfill that vision of life that you have down in the future. So that's my long-winded answer, but it's really important to know where you're starting just as much as it is where do you want to go, and what resources do you have at your fingertips, both now and what you foresee in the future.
Wow. Wow. I like that. So I like to run this podcast in a way that people have actionable strategies that they can go and implement and start seeing results. I know ultimately some people will listen to this podcast and very much so they would want to work with you. But I want us to build a scenario, and most people will fall into these 3 categories. And I want you to kind of do an overview and tell us how you would help someone in any of these 3 categories. So here's the first category. Person A is earning, let's say, $10,000 per month. They don't have any savings, no investments, and they've come to you for help. Person two earns $30,000 per month. They don't have any savings, they don't have any investments. How can you help them? And the third person earns $75,000 per month. They have never invested in anything. They want your help. How can you help them? So go through the scenarios and tell us how you would help each of these three people.
Off the bat, the three people, if they have no savings and no investments, right away, that's a red flag to me. There's more characteristics that I would need to know, such as how young are they, how old are they, et cetera. But if all of them, the only difference is I have nothing anywhere, I just have a healthy income of different degrees, then it's time, in my view, it's time to put that income to work. We want to make sure that we're building what I will call a moat around the castle that will ultimately be their personal wealth that they build up over time, to provide the peace of mind, to provide the financial security that many of us are looking for. So with those types of monthly income numbers, that's the fuel to make the plan happen. So where do we put that income towards building the emergency fund, the moat around the castle? Where do we use some of that income to start investing long-term, to utilize longer-term instruments of some kind that could help become more powerful of an asset over time versus, say, just savings in the bank, right? So I kind of see it as a pyramid. The very bottom level of the pyramid needs to be our liquid savings, our cash on hand, in our back pocket, in our pocketbooks. Helps us prevent going into credit card debt, helps us prevent from borrowing from other people that we don't want to. When we have a very healthy pool of money at our side, we can pay our house rent, we can pay our utility bills, we can go on a vacation, we can provide for our needs, our daily, monthly, and weekly needs, right? But if we have nothing there, we need to get something there, because that's really a precarious situation. At the same time, if the person has time, it's, in my view, wise to be allocating some monies towards longer term investing. Because if you have time on your side, that's your strongest asset to build ultimately a strong pyramid of wealth, or a strong castle, as I mentioned before. So with the monthly amounts, frankly, I would address persons 1, 2, and 3 in a very similar manner. The only difference would be how many dollars are going towards the various short and long-term directions. Okay.
Wow. Yeah, I like that so much. So you mentioned something that you talked about financial security, and you also talked about having, like, time is the best asset we can have. And I think the reason you say that is because of the value of compound interest, right? If you start early and you have so many years before retirement, then you can actually harness the power of compound interest.
Yes.
So about financial security, I think that's what's lacking in society today. Many people have issues, right, as a result of financial stress. And I think having financial security is the best self-care anyone can do for themselves, especially with the economy. And I know I was checking your website, you have an article about regardless of what the election in November, the outcome is, we need to be able to show up our money, our returns, that regardless of what the outcome of November elections is, our money doesn't suffer. So can you speak more about that, Rick?
In terms of the election itself?
Yeah, in terms of making sure that our returns or how our money behaves doesn't depend on the results of the November election.
Correct. Our financial results in our life has everything to do with the results of our habits. The action that we take or that we don't take will translate into the great or not so great financial results that we have. That's the great news. That is wonderful news. Everyone listening to this needs to be jumping up for joy with that realization, because you would be in, because this is the Joyful Podcast, after all, you would be in really big trouble if it was something else. If it was who wins the election in November, what interest rates will do in the year 2025, what the price of oil will be, what will I don't know, who's going to win the Olympics. If it's these external things, you'd be in really big trouble, because you can't do anything about that. Nothing whatsoever. But you can control 100% your habits, those daily actions. This applies to anything in life, but certainly with one's money. When you consider it, when you pay attention to the things that you can control, and what can I control as an individual? I can control how much I save. I can control whether to be feeling freaked out or not of who's going to win the election or not. I can also choose to ignore that. I can choose to not worry about what's going to happen to interest rates. I can choose to be risk tolerant, or I can choose to be risk averse, or I can choose to be something in between. I can choose the individual investment selection that I have to make up my portfolio. I can choose to work with a financial advisor or not. I can choose all of these things. And when I choose these things, I'm planting seeds. I'm planting seeds in the ground that will germinate either right away or over time into financial results that I can tangibly see on my balance sheets, my income that I make, the personal net worth statement that I produce, how much I spend in certain areas, how much I save in certain areas. These are the kinds of the results that really make and produce what can be a great life or not so great life. It has nothing to do with a presidential election. Now, that it's not to say don't pay attention to the upcoming news stories of the day and who's going to win in November and so on. Those are certainly very important topics to be aware of and to consider. However, just on that topic, the presidential election, I haven't been around forever, but I've been through about 11 presidential elections so far. And every time someone's either won or they've lost, right? Yet I didn't make any kind of investment decisions based on who might win or who might not win. I made it based on how much I can set aside. I made it based on what my risk tolerance is. I made it based on a strategy, and this works for some and it doesn't work for others, but a strategy of, I want to go straight down the middle of the fairway. I cannot make a killing and I cannot get killed. If I stick with that type of philosophy and I have someone help me by my side go down that path and help me ignore the noise being the news headlines. And it's important to be informed with what's going on in the world. However, as humans, when we read bad news, and that's all news is bad news, they have to gain attention. That's what they're in the business for. That triggers emotions inside ourselves, doesn't it? And when we trigger fearful, anxiety-filled emotions, we tend to not make very good decisions. When was the last time we made a really good decision when we were freaked out? It's a rare moment, if at all. And we don't want to be making wrong and drastic and silly decisions and actions with our money when we're in that state of affairs. So anyway, the presidential election is something that people are very concerned about for obvious reasons. Yes, certainly easy to pay attention to and to follow along with what's going on. Yet your long-term money will be very joyful and be smiling if you remove the emotions away from its territory. All right. So
yes.
I can't emphasize that more.
Yeah. And I think like just listening to you talk is what comes in my mind is many people that rely on emotions to take action. Like if you look at day traders, for example, right? If someone is trading the market daily, this is why it's so very difficult to make money long term if you're a day trader. because you make decisions based on your emotions. And then those decisions are very, very likely irrational decisions. And that's why many people lose money. So I like how you have a long term focus. And you also mentioned something very important that has stuck with me. You said the good news is we have agency, right? That's what many people don't realize, that we have agency on our money. Now, obviously, many people struggle with the habits that will get them to the future, right? The good future we all want. So, in your experience, how do you think it's best for people to build those fundamental financial habits so that they can have the amazing future they want? Because if you look statistically in the news, something crazy like almost 40% of Americans monthly have to dip into credit cards to pay for essentials. Like that blew me away. I'm like, wow,
Mhm.
that's a huge number of people who are having to rely on credit cards. And we all know many times those credit cards are very high interest credit cards, right? So,
Mhm.
how do you help your clients to build the financial habits that will get them to the wealthy future that they want?
A lot of it has to do with a conversation, a simple one-on-one conversation. Who are you hanging out? Who are you hanging around with? Is one
Mm,
area that's not, you would think, what does that have anything to do with it? Well, the reason is,
everything.
if you're in a group of 5 people and the other 4 people are pulling out the credit cards and spending this and that and the other thing, guess what? Who you hang out with is who you become. So you're going to
Mm,
become a credit card user. If
mm,
you, on the other hand, are hanging around with people who are very wise and very shrewd with their expenses and how they control their money charges and where they spend their money, and you see them, these are people that actually, build wealth or build a strong business and so on, you will become one of those 2 people also. It's funny how that works. Now,
mm,
so we all have our habits based on our environment, and part of one's environment is the crowd that you hang out with, the tribe that you hang out with. So pay heed to that. Pay heed to that. Another would be, what are you listening to? What are you
mm,
listening to in the car? What are you listening to in the shower? We can listen to podcasts anywhere. What are you listening to? What goes on between the 2 ears? The information that you fill your brain with is like fertilizing the ground. And what kind of fertilizer are you using to influence your belief system and also consequently your actions that you take based on that belief system? So if your results in your life are, I've got credit card debt up to here, up to my ears. Why is that? It could be,
mm,
take a look at the people that you're spending time with. It could be also take a look to what you're reading and what you're listening to. Is it focused on good things, or is it focused on not good things? Because the
mm,
fact that a person has got credit card debt that's way high and too high is because of wrong choices. And those wrong choices are thanks to the influence and the environment that we find ourselves around with. This is not everything, but it's a very strong reason why. And again, some people are doing their money on their own. They don't have a coach, or they don't have a financial advisor by their side. Maybe that's another missing piece. Maybe
mm,
the influence from someone, well, I'm hanging out with say the wrong crowd, or I spend a lot of money because all my friends spend a lot of money. Well, maybe it's time to revisit the friends or the professionals that you're spending some time with, and that can help get you back on track. It may not change the results in a snap, but it will change the direction that you're
mm,
going in a snap, because the habits that you did, the actions that you took to say, have credit card debt up to my ears or some other negative result, that didn't come overnight. That
mm,
happens slowly but surely. So the good news about that, if there is any, is that you developed a habit that way. You can develop the absolute opposite habit in the same way. It doesn't happen right away, but you can change the direction of your habits so that you find yourself over time, maybe not as fast as you want, but over time, your financial results will look a lot sweeter and a lot prettier and a lot more joyful by changing those habits or removing the bad habits, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I love it when you add the word joyful. Like just my name is Joy anyway, so it makes me very happy. So like it fascinates me when I read a survey. So there was a survey done of millionaires in the US, and they found that a third, so one third of millionaires in the US never earned 100K in their lifetime per year. So I was blown away by that because many people think, oh, if you are a millionaire, it means you've been earning high incomes, right? So anyone can do this. You can become a millionaire if you follow exactly what Rick just said, learning those habits and doing those habits consistently. And I think there is huge value in this work that Rick is offering because when you figure out your money, you can teach those skills to your kids. It's almost like building generational wealth so that when you pass and you pass on your legacy to your kids, then they have the skills to manage that legacy. So, Rick, tell us more about working with you because many people will think, oh, I need to be uber smart to manage my money. I need to know all about the financial markets, etc. If someone is listening and they're like, oh gosh, I don't have time to start studying the financial markets to learn how to invest, tell us, how would you help such people?
You don't need to be an expert. That's why people hire other experts. You can certainly choose to spend the next 34 years of your life and learn as much as I have learned. And am I saying I know everything? Nope, not at all. Always something more to learn. However, if I am wanting to say, back to my travel analogy, I'm in Dallas and I want to go to Ottawa. If I choose to walk there, it's going to take me a long, long, long time. If on the other hand, I
Mm,
choose to get on a plane, I'm going to get there in a couple of hours, right? And that's how I create the metaphor in my mind of when I work with a professional who knows what they're doing, and you have to be careful about, yes, who you choose to work with. It's similar to the tennis lessons on the tennis court or the golf course. I want to learn from an expert. I want to be able to, how do I improve my swing? How do I improve my body posture, whatever the case is? I don't know how to do it on my own. I can figure it out on my own with a series of YouTube videos on my phone, but that's going to take me like 30 years. And I don't have the time to do that. I'd rather have someone show me how to do. I'll do it. I just want to have someone show me how. Okay. So that's how I liken working with an advisor and an independent one for that matter to help you get on the path that you're looking for that you may not be able to see on your own. That
mm,
doesn't mean that the path is a certainty to get you from the point A to point B, but it may be more efficient. It may be a
mm,
lot shorter time. And you'll feel a lot more confident when, again, you're working with someone that you really feel confident with, that knows their stuff, who's seasoned, who speaks your language and
mm.
makes you feel comfortable and confident and knowing with more certainty than you did ever before that I am on the right path. And this is going to work well for me. I just need to make sure that I'm doing the right things and having someone by my side looking over my shoulder to make sure that I'm not messing up somewhere.
Yes, yes, that's the value of mentorship. I like that so much. Rick,
Yes.
I'm just looking at the time. I can't believe we're at time already. I
Oh,
can keep talking to you for another hour because like I love this topic so much. But before I let you go, Rick, tell us how was your journey getting to this point? Like how did you choose this niche? Because just looking at how you speak, I'm watching, like if you're on YouTube you can see Rick's face. If you're listening, just go on the YouTube channel, you can see his excitement, his passion for this topic. So I want you to tell the audience, how did you get here? How did you choose this niche for yourself?
so I was 8 years old
Mm,
and in Oklahoma City, where I was born and raised, on a Saturday morning, having breakfast. And my mother approached me. She placed her hand on my left shoulder and she said, Rick, today's going to be a very special day for you. And I looked up at her. I said, why do you say that, Mom? She said, because today we're going to go to a place called a savings and loan, and we're going to open up a savings account for you. So here I am, 8 years old. I don't really know what that means. So I asked her, what does that mean, Mom? That means if you, honey, put your money with them, they will pay you money for keeping your money. I didn't quite get it. So, but what was good for my mom was good enough for me. So I dropped my spoon and my Lucky Charms. We went to the car. We drove to the savings and loan. I emptied my pockets full of change. I don't know,
Mm.
several weeks of allowance, $10, coins spinning on the counter. My mother matched that with another $10, and I opened up my first savings account with $20. Now, Joy, it wasn't until 90 days later I received my first statement in the mail, and that $20 grew to $20.15. I couldn't believe what I saw. It was true. All I had to do was just let the money
Big
sit there
moment.
and do
Wow.
nothing, and it was going to grow. So I'm telling you this story 50 years later because it's still such a vivid memory in my mind. And
Mm.
after college, want to be an entrepreneur. What can I do to create a business, add value to the marketplace? And I look back to that morning as an 18-year-old boy, an 8-year-old boy in Oklahoma City, that breakfast day. And I noticed all these patterns of behavior that I did like an automatic pilot. I saved my first, I bought my first house at age 22. I invested in my first stock at age 18. I maxed out on my first and only corporate America job, the retirement plan. I didn't think a second thought about it. These were just automatic built-in behaviors. And it
Mm.
occurred to me, these are not secrets to me, but I'll bet you a lot of people really don't know even where to begin. This was already built inside me, like I said, so I can create a business and share this wisdom with others so
Mm.
that they can build their own castle. They can build their own financial pyramid in a manner that works, because it's worked for me in my life. So this is how I got into the business, was that 8-year-old boy inspired by this idea from his mom. And as they say, the rest is history. And here I am today, helping many, many other people across America.
Wow. Isn't that profound? God bless your mom. And I think that's the power of a parent, right? Look at how she has instilled that value in you about how valuable it is to save. That
Yes.
is profound, right? So if
Mhm.
you're listening, you're a parent, you're a mom, you're a dad, can you see how powerful you are? Like, I know you're not as powerful as God, but you have so much influence on your children. And God bless your mom for instilling that in you because look at the result of that action she took.
Mhm.
Now you've been able to help many other people
Mhm.
with their money. So God bless her wherever she is right now.
Thank you. I will share that with her. Thank you.
Yeah. So Rick, tell the audience, how can they work with you? How can they find out more? How can they connect with you?
Feel free to visit my website, which is salmeronfinancial.com. You can Google my name and it will show up. And also I'm on Instagram, Rick Salmeron, as well as LinkedIn and also Facebook. And there's the YouTube channel that you mentioned also. Just look for Salmeron Financial and there's several videos there. The posts that I post on social media are meant to be what I call mini light bulb moments. Short,
Mm.
sweet, aha, help you think, wow, I never thought about my money in this way or that way. That really brightened my days. That's what I hope to do in my social media posts. But I'm happy to connect with anyone.
Awesome. So, listeners, don't worry. I'm gonna add all of those links to the show in the show notes. If you are Apple Podcast, Spotify, if you're watching on YouTube, it's gonna be in the description. Wow. This has been the most enlightening episode I've had in a very long time. Thank you so much, Rick. It's been a privilege having you on this show. I'll try my best to bring you back here because I think the audience have a lot to learn from you.
It is my joy and my pleasure to be here. Joy.
Awesome. Thank you. That was such an amazing episode. I enjoyed my conversation with Rick. If this episode encouraged or inspired you in any way, please consider leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts. This will go a very long way to get the show in front of more people. If you're watching on YouTube, please leave us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and leave us a comment. I love reading your comments and responding to your comments. That's all for me for today. I'll see you back here on the next episode.